One thing that I wouldn't say it's a big problem, but it's obviously something that we're working on right now. Is just that we're growing at a rapid pace, and when you grow at a rapid pace, the number one thing that you have to remember is you want to keep everybody on the same page, on
Mm-hmm.
the same frequency, speaking the same language.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously as we're growing and we're growing into different departments and we're just bringing more people on, it's, how do we tighten that gap
Mm-hmm.
from, hey, this is our culture, this is how we do things, and then how can we make sure that that's getting done at the lowest level in our organization. And so obviously it's just systems and processes and accountability. And so, but it's just something that we're doing. We're growing fast, and so the problems that we're getting is just like, man, like people are confused on what their job is, or they might have some not a lot of clarity on what they're supposed to be doing when X thing happens, or stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, not a lot of bad things though, which is a blessing for sure.
This episode is brought to you by Pierre Tax and Accounting, led by CPA Eric Pierre, a seasoned accounting and tax expert with years of experience helping individuals and businesses navigate complex financial landscapes. Whether you need personal tax planning, business tax strategy, bookkeeping, or financial planning support, Eric and his team are committed to helping you protect and grow your financial future with clarity and confidence. To get expert guidance you can trust, check out Pierre Tax and Accounting at pierreaccounting.com. This episode is brought to you by my friend Silas Lagoy over at ForgeMark Wealth. If you're a high-income business owner or professional and feel like you're getting crushed by taxes, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. ForgeMark Wealth specializes in advanced legal tax strategies and wealth planning designed to help you keep more of what you make, grow it efficiently, and actually build long-term freedom, not just income. If you're making serious money but don't have a real strategy behind it yet, I highly recommend connecting with Silas and his team.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Builders Bible Podcast. I'm here with Noe Madrigal. Noe is the owner of A&A Roofing. Noe, thank you so much, brother, for joining the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. I'm excited to jump into it. So, if you don't mind, maybe give our audience a little bit of your story. So, how did you originally get into roofing, and what's kind of the creation story of A&A Roofing?
Yeah. Man, I always tell people always ask me that, and it's like a loaded question for me just because my story is like super, super crazy on how it started. It's like, oh, my dad owned a roofing company or something like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I graduated high school in 2017, so in 2018, I moved to the Tri-Cities, which is where I'm at in Washington State. So if you
Okay.
look at the map, I'm on the bottom right-hand side of the map, and so I'm just about 45, 55 minutes from my hometown, which is in Oregon. So I grew up in Eastern Oregon.
Oh, cool.
And so when I graduated high school, I stayed a year there locally, and then in 2018 moved to the Tri Cities. And we moved into a spot, into a duplex where my father-in-laws had, and they had a vacant spot. So we moved in there, and we were all moved in. And I thought to myself, well, it's probably a good idea to get a job so I could pay some of these bills, right? And so I got a job selling vacuums, and it was great. You made 500 bucks a sell. I was really good at it, and it just was gross. And it wasn't gross in the sense that you were cleaning people's houses, and yes, some houses were pretty gross, but it was gross in the sense that the targeted people that we sold to were um, on a fixed income, Social Security, and so
I
here I
see.
was trying to sell them a $4,000, $5,000 system on finance when
Yeah,
they couldn't even afford their cost of
right.
living, right?
A
And
top tier
so,
vacuum is their greatest need.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
and so it just was gross. That was
Yeah.
gross. So it just didn't sit right with me. And so, anyways, I applied everywhere I could possibly, apply. It was one of those things that it was like, it was whatever it took. It didn't matter what job it was, as long as it paid the bills. And so I just applied everywhere. I remember interviewing at spots that I didn't even know what I interviewed for. I was just showing up just to get a job. And one of the
Hmm.
jobs that I ended up interviewing at was for an inside sales position at a place called MacArthur Company, and they sold pipe insulation, HVAC, and roofing. And so I make it to like the third or fourth interview, and at the final interview, they gave the job to the other gal that was interviewing against me, and so I go, hey, thanks for the opportunity. If something opens up, give me a call. Next day, Next day they call me and they say, hey, we have a loader position available. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, absolutely, whatever. Like I told you, like whatever it is, like I'm all for it. So I show up, and so in my head, when you think of a loader, what do you think of? For you personally, Chase, what do you think of when you think of a loader?
Someone moving things, someone stacking.
Exactly. And so I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. I'm going to work on a forklift. I'm going to load, offload truck, right? I show up, my first day on the job, they gave me a harness and a rope, and they said, hey, you're going to be the guy that stacks the roofing material for the roofers up on the roof.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Yikes.
and now imagine being afraid of heights at the same time, right? So that's like that's almost equivalent to being a lifeguard, but you're afraid of the water.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And so anyway, so I did it, and I was like, you know what? How worse could this be? And so I show up first day on the job. First day on the job, I get 2 houses, new construction in Walla Walla, Washington, and they're 2 stories. And not only are they 2 stories, but they're also a 12-12 pitch. So extremely steep. And so that was my welcome into the job. And my partner, the driver, who had been there for a while, said, you know what's crazy? He says, we get these houses once in a blue moon. He said, it just so happened to be on your first day of the job that you got these houses. I go, well, hey, have to be me, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, I started doing that. I did that for 6 months, and so I learned, what roofing was and what shingles and what ridge was, and I learned all the products because when I was delivering it, as soon as I was delivering it, and as I was stacking it for them, they were installing some of the product, and so I was a very visual. Hey, this is what this is used for. Oh, okay, that makes sense. And so I learned that way. 6 months later, I got promoted into inside sales, which was the original position that I interviewed for. Okay. And they ended up firing the girl that they hired over me. She just wasn't working out. And so I moved into there, and that's where I was learned the specs and coverages and pricing and what was good and what wasn't, and scheduling crews and all that. And so I learned the inside of the product from a warehouse level when I first started, and then I got moved into inside sales where I learned the specs and the coverages and pricing. And then about 6 months after that, they were going to move me into outside sales. And so now getting, outreach and going and meeting contractors and trying to get them to buy business, get material from us. Well, one of the contractors that I went to go, try to pitch our product to and our services to ended up getting me to work for them on the contractor side of things now.
Okay.
And I just remember telling them, hey, I don't even know what an invoice looks like. I don't know what an estimate looks like. I have no idea how to even measure a roof. He said, we'll train you. And so sure enough, the situation with him was he was an installer for years and years and years and years. And he worked for Clay Dickman, which was the owner at the time. Well, okay. Clay sold the business to him, but he wanted to continue installing. So he brought me in to run the business so that he could continue installing roofs. So he was an owner operator. So the owner was the guy that was actually out installing. So he brought me in so that I could continue running the business.
Right.
The problem was that that's not what the position was that I was sold on. My position was a sales guy, was a sales rep, was selling roofs. I showed up and I was doing 941s and payroll tax and estimating and invoicing and production and ordering the materials and scheduling the crews and ordering the permits and cutting the checks. And so it was just like, oh my gosh. And so talk about being overworked and underpaid. Like that was the definition of it. But I remember having a conversation with my wife and I said, hey, you know what? I said, this is free college. I didn't go to college, right? College was not for me. And I said, this is free college. I said, I'm running somebody else's business without it being the liability of being my own. And I could either quit and go work somewhere else and make a little bit more money, or I get some real life experience here. And so I did that. Never in a million years would I have told you that I would have gone and owned my own roofing company, because that was nowhere in the plan. It just wasn't even in my head. Up until about a year and 2 months in, about a year and 4 months in, it was fun until it wasn't. The wife got involved, and she was a micromanager, and she was a full-time stay-at-home mom. Okay. They just bought this business, and then all of a sudden she gets involved in the business and knows everything about business. It's like, lady, you've never even had a job in your life before.
Right.
And I remember just being miserable, man. Like, I tell people, I don't think I've ever been depressed, but if I ever was depressed, I think that moment in my life would have been something that I would have called depression, because every day you got up, you're just like, oh my God, I have to go into work today.
Yeah.
And so I put my 2 weeks in. My mentality was, hey man, I'm smart enough. I can go somewhere else and make, the same as what I'm making now. I have the skill
Hmm.
set and the ability to do so. So why not? And so I put my 2 weeks in and turned in all my stuff. And as I put my 2 weeks in, the guy that hired me at MacArthur to be a loader, when I moved into inside sales, was actually my supervisor slash boss.
Okay.
And then when I left to go work at the roofing company, then I switched all of my purchasing from where they used to purchase at to where I used to work at. So now this guy that hired me originally was now also my sales rep.
Okay.
So the entire
Interesting.
time that I was with that company, he was my sales rep, man. So my relationship with this guy was like this.
Hmm.
And so when I left, he knew that I was leaving because we were on the phone all the time. And so he said, hey, you're going to get a call. Make sure you pick it up. So sure enough, I get a call. I pick it up. And he goes, hey, my name's Alan, and I own A&A Roofing. And I would be interested to see if you'd be willing to purchase my roofing company. And
Whoa.
me and my wife are trying to retire and move to Texas. But the only thing that's holding us back is our business. And I remember telling them, absolutely not. I had the worst experience, and I just wasn't interested, man. Truthfully.
Yeah.
And so he said, "Well, you should come over for dinner. Just come over and we'll talk about it, right?" And so anyway, so I go over for dinner, and 2 dinners later, I agreed to purchase his business on a seller finance
No
deal,
way.
fifty
Wow.
thousand dollars down, the rest over installed payments,
Okay.
and then March 1st, 2021, we were official and live, and the business was mine. And to make things even more interesting, the house that I'm actually in right now. This is an office that I turned into a studio room, but
The
I'm in
sauna
my
we're both sitting in.
the sauna. Yeah, yeah. So this office studio room that we converted it into, this is actually in my house. Well, this house was actually his house. So I
Wow.
actually bought his house. So I bought his business, I bought his house, and he jokes around and he goes, "Hey, well, the only thing that you didn't keep was my wife." But completely lifestyle, like completely, we just switched lifestyles,
That's
literally.
so crazy. What in the
Yeah.
world?
So it's been 5 years now.
What's up, everybody? This episode is sponsored by ExitWise. If you're a business owner thinking about selling your company, whether that's now or years down the road, you need to know what your business is actually worth and how to maximize that exit. That's exactly what ExitWise does. They help you prepare, position, and ultimately sell your business by assembling a world-class team of M&A experts around you, guiding you from valuation all the way through closing. If you want to know what your business is really worth and how to increase that number before you sell, go check out exitwise.com and get ahead of it.
So Noe, tell us about what did the company look like from a size standpoint to where it's at now? I guess what its growth kind of looked like, whether it's from a revenue standpoint or just staffing numbers. What's that process looked like the last 5 years?
Yeah, so when I bought the business, there was 3 employees, one crew. He was the type of guy, he was in his mid 50s.
Okay.
Man, scaling was not for him. He made a really good living with the crews that he had. And he was one of those guys, Chase, if you asked him and said, "Hey, I'd like for you to put my roof on," he'd tell you, "Hey, well, I'm 2 months out." And you had two choices. You'd either say, "Okay, that's fine, I'll wait," or you'd go and find somebody else. And
Hmm.
that's just was his motto. Like, like one crew does it, and whatever my crew can do, that's what we're gonna do. And so
Right.
when I took over, that was the crew. One crew was 3 guys for him, and the 3 guys that when I bought the business, there was 3 of them. When I took over, only 2 of them stayed.
Okay.
Now none of those 2 are here; they've all left. But that year that I also bought, they had finished the year in $780,000 in revenue, in
Okay.
terms of what they did that year. My first year in business, we went from 2 employees to 7 employees. We did 2.1
Wow.
million that year, so we went
Wow.
from
Doubled.
780 to two point
More than
one.
doubled. Yeah. Tripled
Mm-hmm.
almost.
Mm-hmm. And then second year we did 3.5 million. And then year three, we went back in revenue from 3.5 to 2.7.
Okay.
And that was the year that I actually almost went out of business. I almost went bankrupt in that year, my third year in business.
Wow.
And then year four, we bounced back and we did 5 million in revenue from
Oh my
2.7 to
god.
5,
Wow.
with about a month left to spare in the month. So we hit 5 million in revenue in November, and a couple months before that, we paid off the business in September.
No
So
way.
we paid it off that year as well. And then last year was 2025, and we finished at 6.1.
Wow.
Um, and we're probably this year we're probably on track. We'll probably land anywhere between 8 and 10.
Wow. That's so cool, man. You should be so proud of that.
Man, I have a good team. I have a really good team.
Yeah. I bet that's been fun, though, just to see sort of the ups and downs and just the growth over just sticking to it, waking up each day and grinding away.
It's man. They say that how we see things is how we do things. Perspective is everything. And so for the first couple years, at least for me, and I'm sure a lot of people relate. First couple years is just survival. Like
Hmm.
you're not looking in the rearview mirror. You're not really also looking ahead. Like you're so busy with what's going on right now because you are the person. You are the accounts receivable, accounts payable, HR,
Yeah.
sales, like your marketing, you're like everything. And so first 2 years was just like whatever, like it just was whatever it took. And so for me, that was Monday through Sunday from 5 in the morning to 11 in the afternoon. All right. And it was just like, you didn't even, it's just like some days, I don't know about you, Chase, but some days you're busy. Sometimes you don't even eat lunch, right? I don't know if
Yeah.
that happens to you.
You don't even
And
forget to, yeah.
you
Hmm.
forget to eat, right? And it's
Hmm.
just like, oh, I haven't ate today. I'm kind of hungry now, right? And it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon,
Hmm.
right? Well, I just might as well wait for dinner.
Yeah.
Well, that was like every day, and for the first 2 years, because you're just like go 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 all the time. And then year three, which when we finally like was the bad year, like bankruptcy year. It was pretty miserable. Obviously, very stressful, lots of sleepless nights, and it wasn't until 2024 when it actually became fun. And then 2024 was obviously much more enjoyable. I mean, there was a lot of like um, stuff that we had to do in order to like dig ourselves out of the hole, obviously from those previous years. But then also like 2025 was even more fun, right? And like now, like I'm just having the time of my life because now it really is enjoyable. And I'll tell you right, you you in the beginning it's just like you're busy surviving, and then it starts getting to the point where you're not having fun because you have so much overhead, you have so many bills, you have so many problems, and you're just a firefighter and you're just running around
Hmm.
putting fires out.
Hmm.
But it wasn't until I realized that we are what hold the business back. It's not the cash flow. It's not, the lack of leads. It's not, oh, it's my market. It's my business. It's my product. It's the fact that we have a ceiling and our team can't exceed that ceiling that we have set for ourselves. And so for things to get better, you have to get better. And so when you improve, your team improves. And
Hmm.
as you improve and do these things, you start developing systems and processes. And then all of a sudden you start realizing, wow, I don't have to do everything. Like if I hire really good people and I have a really good culture, things get done for me in the way that I want them to get done because I have a culture, I have a system, I have a process. And so now you're out of the things that drain you, right? Like, yeah, I'm not an X and O person. Like, I'm not a
Hmm.
financial person. I'm horrible at math. So if you stuck me behind a desk and you had me, looking at spreadsheets and clicking numbers all
Right.
day, you'd lose me,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so I've been able to like move past those things and hire people in those areas. So now that I can focus on the things that I like doing, which is
Yeah.
visionary stuff, high level stuff, man. Culture, people, numbers. There's my three things.
Yeah. That's so good. Just it seems like every time a business owner starts to get out of his own way is when growth starts to happen. But it's so hard because you just want to hold on and clench your fists and just have control over every last detail. So it totally makes sense.
This episode is brought to you by 10x Nerds. If you're a business owner doing real revenue, there's a good chance you're overpaying in areas you haven't even looked at. Things like credit card processing, insurance, telecom, and more. 10x Nerds comes in, audits your expenses across 30 plus categories, and finds immediate savings. And here's the kicker: they only get paid if they save you money. It's a complete no brainer. If you want to keep more of what you make, go check them out at 10xnerds.com. This episode is brought to you by Rakowski Law Firm. If you're a business owner or have built a level of wealth, but you don't have your estate plan dialed in, you're exposed. Rakowski Law Firm helps families and business owners protect their assets, avoid probate, and make sure everything transfers exactly how it should. This isn't just paperwork, it's a real strategy to protect your legacy. If you haven't looked at your plan in a while or don't have one, go to rakowskilawfirm.com.
What currently are maybe a few sticking points that y'all are having, some problems you're trying to solve, and then what are maybe a few things you feel like are going well for you guys right now?
Man, so at least one of the things that's going really well, I'll answer that one first, is just as our culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
People tell us, what separates you from other companies? It's our culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way that we do things. Like everybody, I'm a roofer. So asphalt shingles are all comparable within one another, right?
Right.
Underlayment and drip edge. Oh, we got a 40-year, 50-year warranty. We could do this. We could do that. We've been in business for 10 years. We've been, yeah, whatever. Like, dude, that's all. Like, that's just you just sound like everybody else. But what's different, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that experience. It's that white glove experience that you give somebody from the phone, from the moment that the phone call comes through in the beginning, all the way until they give you the final check. Not only from a customer service, but also from the people that work within your organization. What does that look like to you? Are people excited to show up every single day? Are they happy? Are they getting micromanaged? And so for us, man, like, dude, like everybody on the team, like if you were to walk into my office, it's like, oh my gosh, like it's something I've had three people from across the country, one of them being my business coach, ended up exiting for about, lots of money, right? Yeah, I think his business was doing about anywhere from 30 to 50 million, I believe is what they were at. They were in multiple locations. And so he was able to exit, and so very successful. And so he coaches a lot of companies, across the nation, in different trades, not just roofing specifically, but, in multi-trades. And so one of the things that when he came and visited us last year in September, he says, "Hey man, I want to tell you something." He says, "I've never seen a culture like yours."
Wow.
And so that was a biggest compliment that I could receive, right? And
Yeah.
I was like, man, like that, like we're doing something correctly, right? Like we care about our people. And so that's one of the things that's working really well for us, because when you have a good culture, man, you retain people, right? So
Absolutely.
those people that you have at a high level, they stay with you longer. And not only that, the amount of work and the output that your team puts when there's a strong culture. I mean, it's very hard to measure it, because you understand that when we're in purpose, we do things better than when we're not in purpose, right? So it's like when you were a kid and your mom made you do something that you don't want to do, how well did you do it? Versus
Exactly.
when you were excited about something, you didn't need an alarm clock. You were already up.
Exactly.
Like, before, right? And so it's the same way. You think about business, it's the exact same way. So that's one thing that's working really well for us. One thing that I wouldn't say it's a big problem, but it's obviously something that's that we're working on right now, is just that we're growing at a rapid pace. And when you grow at a rapid pace, the number one thing that you have to remember is you want to keep everybody on the same page, on the same frequency, speaking the same language. And so obviously as we're growing and we're going into different departments and we're just bringing more people on, it's, how do we tighten that gap from, hey, this is our culture, this is how we do things, and then how can we make sure that that's getting done at the lowest level in our organization. And so obviously it's just systems and processes and accountability. And so, but it's just something that we're doing. We're growing fast. And so the problems that we're getting is just like, man, like people are confused on what their job is, or they might have some, not a lot of clarity on what they're supposed to be doing when X thing happens, or, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, not a lot of bad things though, which is a blessing for sure.
It's good to hear, man. I don't know if I mentioned this to you. So I live in Colorado, and I've talked to so many roofers now. It seems like Colorado's pretty contingent oftentimes on hail to help roofers out. Is that like a common trend across different markets? Or have y'all found that you've stayed pretty consistent despite like weather patterns and things like that? Or how does that sort of affect business, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, it's huge. It depends on your market, right? Like, roofers in Houston and Dallas are totally different than roofers in Washington State. Roofers in Boston and Wisconsin are totally different than, roofers in New Mexico and Arizona. And so, but there's two different types of roofing. There's insurance and there's retail, right?
Okay.
And then there's a lot of companies within Colorado. By the way, Denver is my favorite city. I love
Oh,
Denver.
really? It is
Yeah.
nice. I love it.
Oh, man, I love Denver. I'll actually be there next month, mid next month. So,
Let's go.
yeah, if I tell people this all the time, if I could, when I do start a different location in a different state, we're in Oregon and Washington. We're Oregon, Washington, and Idaho right now, but they're all relatively right next to each other. But
Yeah.
like when we start going national, I think Denver's going to be a for sure location for us.
Let's go.
But to answer your question, it's you have insurance and you have retail, right? And there's a lot of companies out there that are split. And some are more insurance and less retail, where some are more retail and less insurance. And then there's some that are like, hey, we're 50-50. And then there's companies like me, where I would consider it a unicorn, where you're all retail,
Okay.
right? And so 99% were 99% retail. And you might ask, well, why is that a unicorn? Why would you want to be all retail?
Mm-hmm.
Well, would you rather have a consistent growth year over year, or would you rather not understand, like, what your year is going to look like next year, because it's all dependent on the storm,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
right?
Okay.
Right. And
I
so
got it.
I know friends, and I mean, there's a friend in Wisconsin, right? The dude did 4 million one year and then 20 million in another year. Like, dude, like, it's very hard to plan and to grow and
Mm-hmm.
scale when it's that volatile, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden you have 20 mil, and then you have all these guys, and then the next year it's just like there's zero
Gotcha.
hailstorms, and then it's like, all right, guys, see you later. We don't have the room for all of you guys, right? Another reason for that too is, we're W-2. We don't sub anything out.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Okay.
don't use subcontractors. One, we control our own quality. We get to monitor the quality of what we're putting out. We control our schedule, and we create our culture.
Mm-hmm.
When you're running a sub model, not to say that there's not good subs out there. There is good subs out there. But you can't tell me that using a sub is the same as using your in-house crew, right? Because at any given point, if there's a disagreement, that guy could go to next door, right? At any given point, if somebody comes and says, hey, I'll pay you $200 a square more, he's going to go next door. What if I'm doing my own personal job? Because as subcontractors, sometimes they have their own jobs lined up, and then you're getting a call, Chase, I show up to your house, and I sold you a roof, and it's Monday morning, and you asked for the day off because you want to, you're getting a new roof, so you asked for a day off so you could see the progress, and and all
Mm-hmm.
that. So I'm showing up there, me and you are showing up there Monday morning. It's about 7 in the morning, and you go, hey, how's it going? And we're chit chatting. I go, yeah, let me check up on my crew real quick. And I call my sub and I go, hey, man, where you at? They go, oh, yeah, by the way, man, I didn't finish my job on Friday, so I'll have to let you know I won't be there until Wednesday. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, did you
Now
do
you
it?
look bad to the customer. Yep.
You understand that this customer took a day off. You do understand that this customer might have made arrangements for their pets so that they could go get watched. You do understand that, like, the
Yeah.
materials are about to get loaded. You do understand that my guys, like, I've called in for permits for today. Like, there's people that deal with that across the country all the time. That
Mm-hmm.
and that's for a good roofer. Like, we haven't talked about the ones that aren't good subs,
Right.
which there's
Yeah.
more bad subs than there is good subs, right? Same
Uh-huh.
thing in there's more bad companies than there is good companies in the roofing trade, and that's a problem. And
Mm-hmm.
so obviously I'm a part of Revolt. I'm a part of Revolt, which is a mastermind group. I was part of Win Rate Consulting for a very long time with Mike Claudio, and I'm a part of a bunch of different groups, man. And those groups, those are designed to level the industry, man.
Mm-hmm.
Is to get rid of all of, like, man, like, roofers aren't known to be the best people to work with as a contractor, right? And so, but why not? Why can't that change? Why can't
Mm-hmm.
we change the experience that we're giving a customer, right? And so that's what we're trying to do here.
Man, I love that. That makes a ton of sense. Noe, maybe last question here. We have a lot of our audience are aspiring business owners, maybe guys that are looking to acquire a business. I've actually had several friends myself who have either done that or have thought about it. What's maybe a piece of advice that you would give someone looking to acquire a blue-collar business, roofing business, whatever it might be? What are some words of wisdom you could give someone like that?
Man, so if they're looking to start or looking to acquire a business.
Let's do looking to buy, since that was your story.
Yeah. So number one, I would say to believe and understand that we don't follow the business that we build, right? The business actually follows us. So, like I said earlier, it won't exceed our capacity to lead it. So we have to invest in ourselves wisely and frequently in the very beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could buy the best business in the world. I mean, you could have an absolutely amazing model. The owner before you had a great foundation, like the guy that I bought it from, but man, if you come in and you don't focus on those things and understand that, the business actually follows us and we won't exceed our capacity and we have to invest in ourselves frequently and often, like, we're going to be in a world of hurt, right? Because we do have to understand that. And the other big important thing, and I've said this a couple times personally, I've had a couple experiences where I've actually told this to somebody and they for whatever reason didn't listen, and they are not around. And they were a very small level. Like, I know two people personally. Like, these aren't stories. I remember two people came up to me about a couple years ago in different times, and they said, hey, I'm starting my own roofing company, and this is what I'm going to be doing, and yada yada yada, and said, what are the things that you need to understand? And this is something that I would tell those, even to the people that are acquiring their businesses. The problem is running in the dark. Is not understanding and knowing their numbers, all of it, right? So that goes cash flow statements, balance sheets, P&Ls, marketing, sales, margins, all the numbers that matter, right? Your critical numbers. Well, how many roofs do you need every single month just to keep the lights on, right? Understanding all of the things that, man, what is your close rate percentage? What is your set percentage? What is your average margin once the jobs are done, right? What's your projected versus your actuals? Like, all of those numbers. How many leads are you getting? It's a lot. And that's what, and people don't understand that. People come in and they work with this. And that's what I did. And it worked until it doesn't. And it gets to a point where you can't work with this, and this is grit. I did that for 2 years, and you get exhausted and you get burnt out. And so after a while, you could only run with this for so long, just being in every single direction, getting pulled in every single area, putting every fire out. But there comes a point in your business where you have to understand your numbers. And the sooner that you can understand that, preferably as soon as you get into business, even before you get into business, is understanding how to read a P&L. Like, dude, I'll tell you straight up. I learned how to read a P&L 3 months ago.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're learning still.
Right?
You're not making excuses.
Before it was and obviously I've had people, it wasn't about until 2 years ago that I hired somebody to do that for me. But there's one thing that somebody's doing it for you versus what you. And so now I go in my P&L and I can see that real time. I don't have to wait for my monthly call with my CFO to understand what my business is doing. Right. A month from now it's too late. So I'm going in and I'm understanding those things. And so also, I'll leave you with this, because this is probably the best piece of advice that I have just gotten and I started implementing into my business is you have a business. I have a business, right? My business is A&A Roofing. That's up here, right? But then we have businesses within our own businesses. And what that means is operations is a business, sales is a business, production is a business, marketing is a business, and finance is a business. So you have 5 businesses within your business, and they all should be treated that way. So every day in retail or in a restaurant, what do they do before they go home? They close the register and they balance everything out, and they understand, hey, we made this amount of money, or hey, today was a rough day. We only made $600. Like, we can't have these days or we're going to be out of business here pretty soon, right? Because how often does it take for a normal company in the trade service industry for them to close out month end? Anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. So if I'm finishing April, it's going to take me about 2 to 3 weeks to find out how I did in April when I'm in 2 to 3 weeks in May. By the time we're 2 to 3 weeks in May, it's too late, because guess what? I'm probably already screwed up for the month of May as well. And so then it continues into the cycle. So how do we do that? We do that by creating daily KPIs within every business that we have inside of our business. And then I can know exactly real time every single day how I did. And from production, I can go, hey, what's my cost? What's my production per crew? If I finished $100,000, if I produced $100,000 today in worth of work, and I had 2 crews working, that means my production per crew was $50,000. How many problems were at my job sites today, right? So was there 2? Was there 5? Right? And then you start tracking all the other numbers. How much, what was our actual percentage in COGS in production, right? So all of those things, then you do that for sales and your marketing and your finances and all that. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the day, you're looking at your real-time numbers. Damn, it was a really good day. Next day, it was a really bad day. Following day, it could be an all right day. But at the end of the day, now all of a sudden, you got trends.
Yeah. Exactly. And then you can start to scale and look back and adjust. And man, that's so good. Well, Noe, thank you for sharing that, man. That's so helpful. Obviously, AandARoof.com. Do y'all have other social media? Where can our audience find you guys?
Yeah. So I'm very active on social media. So my handle is Madrigal. So it's my last name. So MADRIGAL_Noe, NOE. That's my handle for my Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So if you go on there, you'll see me post all of our roofing content as well.
Cool. I love it, man. Well, thank you for coming on the show, brother. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we will see you guys next time.